If I go to a casino, you'll never find me at the poker table. That's because I don't like playing against other people. I don't want to take their money, and I don't want to see them lose. But that's the only way to win in poker. I prefer games where you're playing against the house, a game like roulette. With roulette, it feels like we all could win, like it's us against the world, like we're our own little community. But take away the chips and the ability to make money, and where would we be? Would I still want to spin the wheel? Would any of us? The promise of returns just for being right or lucky, that's what draws us in. And crypto might be the same way. Crypto projects champion their communities, and it feels great when the getting's good, but how well do those communities hold up when profits are scarce or non-existent? In short, is crypto really more than gambling? Welcome to Coinage. I'm Zach Guzman. Today, we're talking about speculation, gambling, and community in crypto. Bitcoin has lost more than 80% of its value multiple times, and yet it persists. It might sound crazy to suggest, but maybe people stick around for more than just price. I feel a sense of community at work, but not on my commute. I feel it in line at the polls, but not in line at the bank. I feel it at a concert, but not at the mall. So what makes one group of people a community and another just a group of people? The best communities bring together people with a shared identity, shared purpose, and shared interests. But the concept of community is vague and nebulous. It's not easy to tell what makes one legitimate or not, and crypto is no different. Lots of projects tout their communities as the foundation of their success, and the value of strong communities on the internet shouldn't surprise you by now. Collectors, hobbyists, enthusiasts, even fetishists of all stripes have used the internet to interact with each other for decades. Crypto projects claim their community is everything, and investors will often buy into a token if they see a strong community of developers around it. Or they'll buy an NFT from a collection if they see a lot of people rocking it as their Twitter profile picture. But are people only interested in community as a precursor for profit? And if people are only buying in to make a profit, you gotta ask, is that really a community? Or is community just something crypto projects point to as proof their members are part of a brighter future and not just degenerate gamblers? As a gambler myself, who am I to say? We're not here to say one community is real and another isn't. But we have to ask if community in crypto is all it's chalked up to be. In the beginning, there was Satoshi, a person, or more likely a group of people, who launched the open source software that became the first cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. And for the first few years of its existence, that was sort of it. Slowly, developers, cryptographers, and criminals got on board. Now, you could call that a community, but it might be more apt to think of it as a fan club. People proselytized on Twitter and YouTube and Reddit, and as the price of Bitcoin rose, so did the ranks of its fan club. Then two projects launched on Ethereum that redefined the meaning of community in crypto forever. Enter the punks and the kiddies. So let's talk about CryptoPunks, or as they might be called now, the crypto aristocracy. Because you just won't convince me you're a punk when your net worth is in the millions of dollars. CryptoPunks is the first PFP, or profile pic collection, and the first generated art project on Ethereum. Generative art just means the pictures were created by an algorithm, and it's actually kind of historic for that reason. But fundamentally, they're profile pictures, and they don't do a whole lot more than that. A project that does do more than that, in that it technically does anything at all, is the Kitties. CryptoKitties, that is. It was the first game on Ethereum, and by game, we mean you could interact with it a tiny bit. And it's also kind of historic for that reason. The gameplay is extremely rudimentary, but it was novel on the blockchain. You can buy a kitty, breed it with another kitty, and make kittens, all in pursuit of rare or pretty traits in your litter. And despite its simplicity, the game became incredibly popular. It actually started to slow down the Ethereum network and caused a mini run-up in its price. Both the punks and the kitties were launched in 2017, which for context, and this might blow your mind, was the first year of the Trump presidency. Yes, it has been that long. However young you were at that time, you are now officially old.
You are fake news.
Anyway, the punks and the kitties both attracted small but fervent communities for different reasons. The punks saw themselves as pioneers in a new land. They saw the potential for new digital identities that were totally unique, and they seized upon the ability to create their own luxury brand in the new digital world. You couldn't flex your Birkin bag on the blockchain yet, but you could rock your punk. And as long as Ethereum was running, your punk would survive too. The kitties were there for all the same reasons as punks, but they brought gameplay to the game. They crafted cute characters that tapped into the 90s nostalgia of Neopets. But they also saw the potential for interaction and the power of writing your own new and unique characters to the blockchain. Another reason the kitties took off, its number one fan was Vitalik Buterin's dad. There was another major difference between the kitties and the punks, though. Scarcity. There were only ever 10,000 punks, and there will never be any more. Kitties, on the other hand, could be bred continuously, which meant that the size of the community would just keep growing, despite the fact that the original kitties were usually the most valuable. Without an end goal to the game, the dramatic rise of CryptoKitties soon gave way to a long, drawn-out collapse. As the fervor died down, so did the speculation. Many thought CryptoPunks would go the same way, and for years, those people were right. The punks didn't really see any selling activity until 2020, and the prices they fetched were pretty low. That all changed in 2021, a time that will surely be remembered as a golden age of staying home, binging on Netflix, and getting free money, among other things.
Coronavirus! Coronavirus! I'm telling you, it's real!
And it ended up being the perfect storm to fuel a golden age of NFTs too. Because people weren't just saving that free money for a rainy day. No, we turned money itself into a hobby. And we all know exactly who had the most time on their hands. Connor, Tanner, and Chad over here. Which finally explains the way you feel about Crypto Bros. And at a time when engaging with your community in person felt impossible, online communities became all the more alluring. While some were engaging in GameStop stock shenanigans, sports betting, and the SPAC boom, others began betting on digital art. And when it comes to art, there's a crazy amount of value in being the first to do something. The NFT community saw CryptoPunks as the alpha and omega of generative art, and their prices began to skyrocket accordingly.
Big night for NFTs at Christie's because that set of 9 CryptoPunk NFTs sold for $17 million, which was roughly double what people had expected, right?
See this guy? He's Punk 5822. In February 2022, he was sold for 8,000 ETH, just under $24 million at the time. Twitter accounts branded with punks racked up hundreds of thousands of followers because if you owned a bunch of punks, you were clearly clued into the NFT ecosystem. And maybe you dropped some tips or alpha to your followers. As NFTs continued their ascension, Discord became the primary platform for NFT communities. If you're a millennial, think of Discord as Slack for youngsters. If you're Gen X, ask a millennial what Slack is. And if you're a boomer, we're just happy you're here, and don't you worry about a thing. On Discord, only members of your NFT club could hang out in certain rooms. So suddenly, a punk wasn't just a status symbol anymore. It was also a way to get that hot and spicy alpha. In the old world, suits would fly around in their private jets, going to conferences, discussing the next big business buzzword bullshit. Or something like that. To be honest, I don't know, because I don't have a private jet. And I don't know any business buzzwords, and I never talk bullshit.
Don't bullshit a bullshitter.
But I do have NFTs.
Coinage NFTs on sale now.
And in the new world, those conversations only happen in one place, online. The rise of NFTs and mainstream interest in crypto heralded a new generation of NFT communities built on shared experiences. One of the first ones to catch on when it was introduced in 2019 was Zed Run, a horse racing game that runs on the blockchain. And its NFTs weren't popular just because they look cool. They were popular because they were fun. Normally, all you could do at a horse track is bet on races. But with Zed Run, you could own your own digital stable, breed your own digital horses, and enter them into as many races as your heart desired. Most of us will never have the money or property or time to become real horse racing moguls. Zed Run lets pretty much anyone have that experience as long as you're fine with losing.
Almost ready. 2, 1, go.
We're talking about Zed Run because the community engagement was off the charts, and it seemed like an honest evolution in the utility of NFTs. Not only could you collect unique horses, and not only could you breed those horses to create new ones, but now you could race your own horses in thousands of events each year. Community became about more than just a vague common interest, and more than just the potential for profit. Now, community became based on sharing strategies, collaborating with other stable owners, and sharing in the virtue of victory, or the wretched despair of defeat. There are still skeptics, though, and here to comment is Horse Whisperer correspondent Gabriel Haynes.
Zed Run is completely ridiculous. You're racing a metaphysical horse through the metaverse. That is complete and utter lunacy.
What about the idea of breeding a horse, though?
You want to see two horses having sex in the metaverse? No! No! The Sushi Swap CEO would like that. He's touching horses left and right. I'm sure he's a big, big Zen Run fanatic. Because, who is the person that is sitting at their computer waiting for a horse to go around a fake track?
Yeah, but these things can make you money. You can, breed them out. You can loan them out. You can, Kentucky
Who
Derby
is
show.
loaning out their virtual horse? Are you serious? Are you serious? What is this? Genghis Khan riding on a horse through the steppes, conquering the world? No! No! This is purple horses around a fake racetrack where you're trying to make some... This is gambling! Garbage! Gambling!
Gabriel Haynes, everybody. So is he wrong? It's tough to say you're wrong. To check out whether these NFT projects are as much about community as they are about profit, we headed to a Zed Run race in New York to see for ourselves. Statistically speaking, our asses are about to get kicked. But then again, you go to these events, you learn from the community, you try and figure out where your horse's strong suits are, and it becomes a bit of a game. Zed Run always says it's not really gambling, it's a game of strategy. We're about to find out, if that's really true. I can guarantee you, no one in the Guzman lineage has ever owned a racehorse before. And I'm pretty sure no one in the family has ever bought a seersucker suit either. So we're about to find out how real this is when it comes to democratizing horse racing for the masses.
One of the biggest issues is when crypto started, it's what's the use case? What's the purpose?
Yeah.
Zed Run, when it came out, was the first application that I really saw and looked into it. It's wow, this thing has so much utility and so much purpose. This is going to take over the world, big picture,
Yeah.
This is going to change horse racing across the globe, whether we like it or not.
Everyone will pick and choose what they want to do with it.
Yeah.
And if the profit making is where you want to be with it, then that's what you follow.
Is it a game that you just want to have fun in?
Yeah.
Or is it I'm here to make money and it's a business?
It's both. That's the beauty of it.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, how are you? Can I get a mint julep? Would you be able to do that?
What?
A mint julep?
I think this is the fucking Kentucky Derby.
Guess that might be a no. What's something close to it?
You're dressed like the Kentucky Derby, so I'll make you one, okay?
Dress the part.
Maybe this isn't just like the Kentucky Derby, but when my first horse was called up for his race, I felt a wave of excitement. Maybe BitClout could pull off a miracle.
In the lead, followed by Foxy Stunts, followed by Caden, followed by Tigerbound, followed by, it's a bring boom, third Caden, Caden is in third, while the final yes is in second, please, Nick Cloud, fall behind most of the other horses, and it's Supreme Boom! Boy, I sure would feel bad if I owned Big Cloud.
That wasn't it.
I told you, you gotta get into a marathon race.
Oh, that was the wrong second, no last
It's on the data, it's the wrong distance.
So BitClout got embarrassed, but I still have another shot. Before my next race, I met up with a Zed head with over 9,000 races under his belt to see if my horse has what it takes to be a winner.
So just like any other genetics, you're talking about breeding dogs or horses or people for that matter.
Yeah.
There's always some pass down of your skill sets, your genetics. I've got blue eyes, my mom has blue eyes, same kind of thing, right?
If the distance is a marathoner, you breed two marathoners, you're looking at maybe
Exactly,
a marathon.
okay.
And my horse here is...
I can see that, based on the odds it was raced at, it had the lowest odds as a marathoner at 2,200. During that time, it didn't get raced at 24 or 26. So
But it did better for shorter races, generally.
But those longer races, the 2,200 meters, it came at, had a lower odds, meaning it had a higher chance of winning.
This is pretty complicated. This is pretty fucking complicated, bro. This is getting pretty hard.
Not wanting to get embarrassed again, I took my failure of a horse, BitClout, and ponied up to mate it with one with a proven track record. I spent about $90 on a stud fee, and Financialize Everything was born.
Hold on, real talk, let me tell you something. Surprisingly, donkeys will end up breeding with the
You're saying that I bred this one, my donkey, I bred it with a Z4.
Oh shit! A Genesis?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
So
it's that one.
Yeah, that could be good.
Could be good.
Are you ready?
And it's Lucky Gift taking the lead, followed by Hand Jive, followed by Financialize Everything. Oh, Financialize Everything falling down in the stakes. And Hand Jive is taking the lead, followed by Ethereal Foil, followed by Character Building moving up. It's really Hand Jive's race at the moment. Financialize Everything coming up from behind, coming in from the back. And Financialize Everything is taking the lead over Hand Jive. Wow, this is a tight race here. Hand Jive taking it right back. And Umbrage sneaking into first. Financialize Everything is in first place. Holy cow, we're in the final stretch here. Financialize Everything. Winner! Financialize Everything!
I don't think I got played. I don't know if I got played, but I think that that's like at the core of what this shit's all about, is that no one really knows. And no one knows how it works. No one knows what the hell's going on. You know when you win, but nobody knows. They say they know. That dude we talked to spent hours, days running horses. I don't know if anyone actually knows. Zed Run knows. But I don't know, it felt real at the end. Celebrating with everybody there was cool. I can see what they say about the community of it all. Even if the race was kind of pre-orchestrated, and maybe it was, the feeling of winning was very real, and I could see why people get addicted to Zed Run. A few months later, we're still not entirely sure what to think about the race event. And as the prices of most NFTs have continued to fall in 2022, activity in almost every community has tanked as well. So we sat down with Chris Ebeling, co-founder of Zed Run, to find out if the community has gone for good, who's sticking it out for the long haul, and if it's really about more than just making money. To understand that you could own this horse, that you could race this horse, that this horse could theoretically make you money if it won races. I mean, where'd the idea for that come from?
My co-founder and CEO, Chris Laurent, he was actually, doing some research on market research on blockchain, NFTs, cryptocurrencies, and he was living in a horse racing county in Australia where he saw a breeding poster, and when he went closer, he saw that this horse was breeding for $15,000. He kind of put two and two together because CryptoKitties, of course, had breeding at the time, but with no, added utility. So taking it that next step where you actually added that utility of being able to not just only own a pretty horse and breed more pretty horses, but actually you can race them, and actually they can actually provide you with like a tangible reward.
Do people come into this with the idea of wanting to race a horse or own a horse? Are you there for profit, or are you there for the community element?
It has to be fun first. There's an old saying that says, people vote with their feet and they'll go where the fun is. In this case, we need to make Zed fun. But there are also people coming in and of course strategizing completely to look at the profit margin. And that's okay, that's part of the game too. But for us to have a wider adoption and appeal to the masses, it has to be fun.
When we were at the event, we saw some wild numbers being crunched. We saw some, iPads getting brought out, some formulas being drawn up. How do you protect the on-ramp for a new user to be able to kind of enjoy the same upside as maybe some of the early adopters?
Everybody's got a different budget when they come into these things. But you could come in and you could buy a great horse right now, right? And then you can compete with the best, right? And that's no different to the real world. If you have money enough to buy a basketball team, you could, and you could build, if you're a Mark Cuban or whoever you are, right? And then you can start bringing in the players you want. But, I do believe that there's going to be proper segmentation. There's going to be proper room for everyone and anybody. So it's all about inclusivity. Like, we really want to democratize horse racing ownership.
We were looking back at some of like the most expensive horses sold, and I just want to make sure we have those right, because I feel like earlier in the bull run, I think I saw, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe the most expensive horse was 110 ETH, or was there one that was more? What's the most expensive horse that's been bought?
There was one sold for around just over 200 grand, I think, so around the 110 ETH mark.
Wow, $200,000 for a horse.
For a digital horse. But you own it, and it's provable.
Is it mostly earlier members who are in the green? And it's the newcomers who are in the red, or like, I mean, how do you track where some of those profits are across how long they've been on Zed Run?
Everything's on the blockchain, right? So all the data is available, and we do have some really savvy community members who are just jumping in there and picking it apart. So, I mean, but usually the people who play more are the ones who are in a position to win more.
But you also have kind of the romanticized story of a nobody horse that can come out of nowhere and actually be good or upset some of those like favorite horses in any race, right?
Yeah.
So how do you kind of program some of that how do you program randomness into a game like Zed Run to kind of still have that be a piece of the game?
Yeah, how does the underdog have a chance, right? 12 horses jump into a race. You've done all your calculations. Perhaps you've done all your skillful strategizing. You've put him in the gate, chosen the track. You've looked at the field of opponents, and you're thinking you're in the best spot. Once these 12 horses are in a race, it sets off an instant simulation of 1,000 races, and then one of those races is picked, which is the one that plays out. So within that 1,000 races, yes, because you have made the best skillful decision and have done all your due diligence, the probability of you winning is high compared to me just throwing my donkey in there. But there is a chance that my donkey does. And we see that all the time. That's really for you to discover. So some people look at Zed as a breeding game, and others look at it as a racing game. And you know, none of them are wrong.
The ethics and morals piece is also very interesting, right? When we think about other games and other leagues, I guess, even, right? Like how strong the NBA protects against refs rigging games. How do you establish that trust within your community that, you know, horse racing even, I think, can be rigged? So how do you prevent digital horse racing from being rigged? I mean, even in my race, I wasn't sure. There was a lot of the same horses in that race. I knew I won, but I don't know if I won.
Well, you know, that's part of the algorithm. It's provably fair. It's gone through the ringer. And you as a player that is strategizing, I mean, you know, if you really play the game, you really know when you're in a position to win versus when you're just throwing a horse in a race, throwing in a Hail Mary per se.
There's a bunch of play and earn examples out there that maybe didn't try and protect for the actual product. Again, Zed Run has a race, and you can always race your horse. I mean, what have you seen as far as like biggest mistakes in the play to earn space?
I think one of them is focused and not focusing on the earn function versus the play function. Again, back to that quote of, you know, people vote with their feet and they go where the fun is. Make it fun. I mean, if it's fun, you know, people will come and they'll want to have a go. And then think about the earning secondary. And that's why I think play and earn is such an important way of saying it, because focus on the play first. Then if you want to dive deeper, so for the casual player, hop in, have some fun. It's enjoyable. Have a laugh, compete, have some banter with your mates on the racetrack, you know, come back again another day. Or if you really, really enjoy it and you start to strategize, then you have that earning function, and then you can layer in, you know, an ability to really, you know, reap the rewards of getting into it.
And that's one of the things that we've gone back and forth on too, right? When it's like, okay, if the numbers are going up, obviously everyone in the community is very happy because the horse that they paid a lot of money for is now worth more and they can sell it, and then it's great for them. But in the reverse, when all the things are going down in price, maybe you see less usership, maybe you see people leaving the ecosystem. I mean, what matters more, I guess, when you're trying to build a play to earn or play and earn community? I mean, how important is it that the price continues to rise? And have you seen kind of usership maybe fall as all the prices, you know, not just Zed Run, but a lot of these NFT communities have seen their NFTs collapse?
I mean, the financial market in general is on its way down right now. We're going through a lull the next 2 years, so people are going to be tighter with their money, of course, and people are going to want to liquidate and have cash or, you know, fiat just as a safety. I mean, that's the smart thing to do, and that's what people, you know, we've seen it before. History repeats itself. It's not the first time we're in a point like this. It's just the first time we're in a point like this with this NFT craze the year before, right?
What is the end goal for Zed Run? As someone who created it, right? Is the idea for it to replace the Kentucky Derby? Is the idea, I know when you talk about like what the community wants to see, I know gambling on horse racing in terms of where that could go. What is the end kind of scale for Zed Run?
Our horses, you know, live forever. They don't get hurt. You know, we don't have, there's a reason why we didn't put jockeys on the horses, because they're digital. They don't need somebody sitting on their back whipping them. I mean, there was discussions in the past where that would be an excellent use case for an additive NFT, but I like the what's the word? I like the cleanliness and the realness of that, like the essence of a horse just running on its own and being its own. Will it replace? Like I think maybe the prize pools in the future could definitely surmount those of the Kentucky Derby. I think that's a goal worth going for. Whether it replaces, so far in the future, I mean, being a sci-fi nerd, yeah, why not? Not to sound too kind of corny, it's a beautiful thing that these digital racehorses and this game can actually bring people from all walks of life who actually only know each other from a stable name or a Twitter handle, and now have been racing, and they're birds of a feather because they're equally invested and attached to similar objects and the similar gaming experience. Now meet up and I've just been seeing them just become best friends as well, like, and these relationships forms. I think that's something that's really, really beautiful about what these games can do and what these experiences can do for the communities. So that's super cool.
So is crypto gambling? Of course it is. You're buying into projects with no immediate use case, betting on a future that might never come. But then again, maybe it will. So yeah, I'm thinking it's gambling. But is it more than that? Again, of course it is. There are communities out there, but they're often not the ones you think of. There are people finding friends and common purpose on Discord. And for a minute, you could make crazy money on Zed Run. But when the money dried up, so too did the community. It's just not fun to play roulette for no reason other than to watch the wheel spin. Our advice? Be skeptical of anything pushing its community and nothing else. I'm Zach Guzman, this was Coinage, and remember, the house always wins. Stay safe out there.